Hajin started shaking Yiging, asking him to wake up. This almost made Yiging barf, but he managed to tell Hajin to stop shaking him. Yiging was grateful, because if he would have reacted any later, then he would have broken a bone. As he was standing up, he told Hajin that they should try it one more time, and he asked him to pick up his wooden sword. Hajin hesitated, and he asked Yiging if he was sure he wanted to continue. Before Yiging could respond, Jin approached them with his arms crossed, saying there would be no point if they continued to spar. He says there is a clear difference in skill, and the results would remain the same no matter how many times Yiging tries again. It also seemed like Hajin didn't want to continue sparring in fear of hurting Yiging, so Jin advised Yiging to stop repeating this useless training. Yiging stood up, and he reached forth his right hand. This confused Jin, and he asked Yiging if he wanted something. Yiging told Jin that he just wanted a handshake to show his gratitude. Jin quickly grabbed Yiging's right hand with his right hand, saying Yiging should have just said he wanted a handshake in the first place. Yiging stared at Jin's hand, saying he is doing it wrong. He grabbed Jin's left hand and he shook it, saying this is how you're supposed to do a handshake. Jin got embarrassed because he acted arrogant this entire time. While shaking others' hands incorrectly, he closed his eyes expecting Yiging to make fun of him. However, to his surprise, Yiging didn't. Instead, he walked back to the middle circle, saying Jin should guide him while he trained with Hajin since he is better at swordsmanship than him. He also told Jin to stop speaking so casually with him, and Jin reluctantly agreed to stop. Yiging picked up his wooden sword from the ground, and Seongchan asked Yiging why he chose to give Jin a handshake of all things. Yiging replied, saying he noticed Jin was doing it wrong since earlier and it's been bothering him. It was a simple greeting method that he got good at, thanks to his previous life, so he wanted to help Jin out. Yiging pointed his wooden sword at Hajin, saying he will attack first this time. Hajin lifted his wooden sword in a defensive stance, and he told Yiging that he was ready. Before Yiging charged at Hajin, Seongchan told him that his timing was a bit late last time, so he should watch out for it this time. Yiging laughed it off, saying he knows, and Seongchan told Yiging to focus, saying he should be focused on the sword in his hand. Yiging quickly ran at Hajin, and Seongchan explained to him that the basics of swordsmanship are the three powers: vertical slashing, lateral slashing, and stabbing. All swordsmanship abilities stem from those basics, and when striking down vertically, Seongchan told Yiging to imitate lightning. Yiging applied Seongchan's teachings and he swung his sword downwards at Hajin. Hajin parried Yiging's attack with a lateral slash, disarming him in the process. Hajin thrusted his sword forward, hoping to stab Yiging's side. However, Yiging was able to dodge. Seongchan praised Yiging for dodging, and he told him to grab Hajin's sword. Yiging grabbed a hold of Hajin's sword, and Seongchan told him to headbutt his younger brother. Without a second of hesitation, Yiging headbutted Hajin, and they both fell to the ground. Jin was a bit surprised that the duel resulted in a tie. But after seeing that Yiging was in better shape than Hajin, Jin started sweating nervously, because Yiging actually won. Jin concluded that Yiging must have a harder head than he looks. Yiging approached Jin asking for his opinion on the duel. Jin looked confused, so Yiging reminded him that he told him to guide him. Jin hadn't realized that Yiging was serious about that. He thought back to the duel, and afterwards he told Yiging that his footwork couldn't keep up with his upper body, and he said Yiging should train his lower body more. Seongchan praised Jin for his eyes, and Yiging told him that he would keep his advice in mind, and says he looks forward to Jin guiding him next time too. Hajin was shocked. He quickly got up from the ground, and he approached Yiging asking if he was going to keep coming and training with them. Yiging said yes, and those words resonated with Jin, and he embarrassingly told Yiging that he looks forward to it. With this, Yiging finished the training he wanted to get done today, and he said goodbye to the others. Outside the Ruby training hall, Yiging walked to his room telling Seongchan that his entire body is sore, and he would likely have to put medicine on it when he returned. Seongchan told Yiging that his body still gets sore because he hasn't mastered the strong physique yet. As he walked, Yiging was surprised by Manhwa, who was hanging from a tree. She asked him if he was hurt anywhere. Yiging angrily told her to stop following him, and he asked her why she was hanging on a tree. Manhwa ignored his question. She got down from the tree, and she asked Yiging for the person who made him like this. She didn't give Yiging a chance to respond, and she said Jin must be responsible. Manhwa grabbed Yiging's face, saying that bastard Jin made a mess out of such a weak person's face. Yiging told her his injuries were just scratches he received from training with Hajin. Manhwa was surprised that Yiging received his injuries from Hajin, and she called Hajin a bastard for injuring his weak older brother. Seongchan laughed, saying Yiging and Manhwa are cute. Yiging turned to Seongchan, saying he is starting to get annoyed. He told Seongchan that he doesn't understand why Manhwa has shown interest in him. He asked Seongchan if maybe it could be because she likes him for his looks. Seongchan laughed. He told Yiging that Manhwa is the daughter of a martial family, so he is sure she grew up around a bunch of muscular and masculine men. Yiging nervously asked Xiangchen if he was saying Mua is showing interest in him because he looks fragile, and Xiangchen told Yiging that there are people with those kinds of taste. Yiging addressed Mua asking her why she was waiting for him, and Mua told Yiging that she was waiting because she had something to give him. She took out a box containing 2 miracle medicine, and she told Yiging that her dad gave it to her. She told Yiging that the miracle medicine is supposed to supplement the Kai in one's body, and it's also good for internal injuries, and since she had 2, she wanted to give one to Yiging. Yiging, who loves miracle medicines, asked Mua if she was really giving him something so valuable for free, and Mua said yes. She told Yiging that she has a healthy body so she doesn't really need it. However, Yiging needs it since he has a weak body. Mua asked Yiging to take one quickly since her father told her to eat the medicines right away after opening the box. Yiging quickly took one of the miracle medicines and he ate it. He praised Mua for being a good child. Xiangchen was disappointed in Yiging and he told him that he is too easy. Yiging ignored him, and he started listing off the ingredients used in the miracle medicine. He asked Mua if the miracle medicine is made out of 100-year-old fleeceflower with makino, licorice, and honey. Mua was surprised that Yiging was able to list off all the ingredients in the medicine. Yiging continued to enjoy the taste of the medicine as it melts in his mouth, with all the ingredients used in the medicine. He guessed that it should be effective for enhancing energy too. Although that doesn't really mean much for him, Mua interrupted Yiging's moment asking him if he could do her a favor. Yiging accepted, and he asked her to tell him what she wanted. Mua told Yiging that there's a famous performance group coming here in 7 days, and she asked Yiging to go see it with her. Yiging was surprised and he wondered if Mua was asking him out on a date. Xiangchen was confused and he asked Yiging to tell him what a date is. However, Yiging told Xiangchen that he doesn't need to know. He told Mua that they could go see the performance together. This made Mua really happy, and she asked Yiging to promise. Yiging promised and Mua happily walked away saying she would come find him when the time comes. After she left, Xiangchen told Yiging that he was surprised he accepted since he said he wasn't interested in Mua. Yiging told Xiangchen that since Mua gave him a rare medicine, he could do this much for her in return, and her request wasn't something difficult. As she walked back to her room, Mua couldn't stop smiling. The thought of her and Yiging going out alone made her extremely happy. 1 week later, on the acting stage, a masked man had been cornered by what looked like the evil Miram Alliance members. The narrator of the story told the audience that the one-handed swordsman didn't give up. Instead, he raised his sword up high. The actor playing the one-handed swordsman lifted his blade in the air, and the actors playing the evil Miram Alliance members told the one-handed swordsman to accept his fate, since there is no place for him to hide. The narrator then told the audience that the one-handed swordsman swung his sword, and it was like seeing lightning in dry weather. The actor playing the one-handed swordsman followed the narrator's words, and he swung his sword. The narrator then addressed the audience saying with just one attack the one-handed swordsman slayed all 5 Miram Alliance members. And on the stage the actors playing the 5 Miram Alliance members fell to the ground, and blood effects were displayed. In the audience, Yiging praised the performance team saying the play is well made. Mua added that their sword technique is a bit weird, but it was still cool. Hajun, who was to the side of Yiging, asked if the blood was real. Yiging told Hajun that the blood was likely fake. Tak laughed. He praised the performance team, saying making a play about the one-handed swordsman, who was Janghu's common enemy, was a great idea, and Jin, who was sitting beside him, agreed. Mua started crying inside because this wasn't what she expected would happen when she invited Yiging out. Some time later, after the show, Tak said it was nice that they could watch a play all together like this. He also thought it was a coincidence that the play was on the same day as the banquet, and he said they should go for a quick walk, then head to a pavilion for dinner. As they walked, Xiangchen told Yiging that he met the one-handed swordsman once in his lifetime. He says the one-handed swordsman was pretty skilled, so he was interested in him. Xiangchen was refreshed to see the one-handed swordsman in a play like this. Yiging told Xiangchen that he seems more excited than Mua and Hajun. Suddenly, a young boy bumped into Yiging. Yiging glared at the boy, and he grabbed him by the arm. The boy turned to Yiging asking why he was holding on to him, and Yiging asked the boy to give him back his money. The boy acted innocent, saying he doesn't know what Yiging is talking about. Since the boy was pickpocketing in a place like this, Yiging guessed that he is probably from the Hao sect. He whispered in the boy's ear, asking if no one told him not to mess with him. He told the boy that it seems GM hasn't taught him well. The boy was terrified and he wondered how Yiging knows the name of the branch leader. Tak moved between Yiging and the boy. He told Yiging that he is too soft. Tak unsheathed his sword, and as he prepared to strike the boy, Yiging did his best to stop it. But it was too late. Tak had already swung his sword. The boy fell down in terror, crying about his ankle, but after looking at his ankle he realized that it was completely fine. In the boy's confusion, Tak took the bag of money he had stolen. He told Yiging that many younger thieves tend to hide their stolen item on their ankles. He handed the bag of coins to Yiging, asking if he was going to take the boy to jail. Yiging told Tak that he doesn't want to since it isn't that big of a deal. Tak turned to the boy and he reached forth his hand, saying the boy better watch out next time. The boy grabbed Tak's hand, however to his surprise Tak sent his kai into his veins, causing the boy some pain. The boy fell to the ground again, crying out about his hand. Yiging turned to Tak, demanding he tell him what he just did. Tak told Yiging that this is the punishment he gave the boy for repentance. Yiging was confused and he wondered how anyone would consider this kind of cruelty as mercy. Suddenly 2 young men bumped into Yiging, saying Tak is awesome for showing a thief mercy. Tak was surprised and told the 2 young men that he didn't know they would be here so soon. Yang Yung of the 7 Lightning Blade clan, who was joined by Go Hwisam of the Green Fields clan, told Tak that they were out to watch the play for a bit before making their way to the dinner banquet. He says Tak was so handsome that they noticed him from afar. Tak laughed, saying they flatter him too much. Seongchan was suspicious. He told Yiging that since Jung and Hwisam are martial artists of Zion, they must have recognized Yiging too. Yiging scoffed, and he said to Seongchan that Jung and Hwisam are being quite childish. Jung asked Tak if he wanted to go to the pavilion together. Tak placed his hand on Yiging. He told Jung that he couldn't since he has company right now. Jung asked Tak who the person next to him is. Tak asked Jung if he couldn't recognize him. He said this is the renowned Beak clan's young master Yiging. Jung greeted Yiging, saying it's been so long that he didn't recognize him. He told Yiging that he is glad to see that he is doing well. Yiging greeted them as well, saying he is doing well thanks to them. He reminded them of the miracle medicine their sect leader gave to the Beak clan's patriarch. This shocked Jung and Hwisam. Yiging also added that he remembers that they were always on the tail of the sect leaders too. He called them by their names and said if they are too stupid to even memorize what he looks like, then they should keep their eyes open when they go around in public to make sure this never happens again. This angered Jung, but Yiging paid him no mind. He turned around and said they will see each other later. Inside the top golden pavilion, Tak asked Jungwoo if he had prepared everything he ordered them to do. Jungwoo said yes, and he told Tak that he had already let the cook know. Tak took out a golden object, and he handed it to Jungwoo. Jungwoo stared at the golden object, and he told Tak that he doesn't need to give him the remaining amount now. Tak told him that the golden object wasn't for the remaining amount. He says it's extra on top. Then he took out a small slip of paper from his clothes, and he told Jungwoo that he should mix the substance in the paper with the pure golden wine when he asks for it. Jungwoo held the paper with care, and he asked Tak if he could tell him what substance was contained in the paper. Tak picked Jungwoo up by the neck, asking if he really wishes to know. Jungwoo started coughing. He told Tak that he doesn't want to know. Tak dropped Jungwoo, saying he hopes he won't disappoint him. Jungwoo lowered his head, telling Tak that he will never disappoint him. Tak smiled menacingly, saying he hoped there won't be any mistakes at all. A while later, at the 4th floor of the banquet hall, the children of the martial art families had gathered for the banquet. Seongchan stared at the food, saying it looks exquisite. He turned his attention to the wine, saying he is most curious about the pure golden wine. He thought it was a shame he no longer had his body. Yiging also turned his attention to the wine. He told Seongchan that he heard this place is best known for its wine. Tak approached an open seat next to Yiging, asking if the food had already been served. Yiging said yes, and he asked Tak if he was done with whatever he had to do. Tak said yes, and he apologized for making them wait. After sitting down, Tak grabbed the vase of wine, and he asked Yiging if he would be drinking before eating. Yiging picked up a cup, saying there is no way he can say no to pure golden wine. After Tak poured him a drink, Yiging acted like he drank it all in one go. Tak praised him. Afterwards he turned to Jin, and he asked why Jin was so quiet. He asked Jin if the food wasn't good. Jin told Tak that the food wasn't the problem. Since Tak was distracted, Yiging quickly spat out the drink in his napkin. Seongchan asked Yiging why he was spitting out the precious pure golden wine. He asked Yiging if the wine wasn't good. Yiging turned to Seongchan and he told him that the wine is heavily scented, so most people wouldn't notice a difference in smell even if someone poured in an energy-dissipating poison. Seongchan told Yiging that he doesn't care about that, and he asked him to explain the taste. Yiging ignored him. He turned his attention to Tak. Even if Tak hides the poison with the flavor and scent, Hajun would notice that his body was abnormal immediately. This confused Yiging, and he wondered what Tak was planning. Tak noticed Yiging watching him, and he asked if Yiging wanted to have another drink. Yiging told Tak that he would take a bit of a break. Jung, who was at another table, stared at Yiging angrily, wondering why Tak was being so nice to him. And Hwisam, who was sitting beside him, told him that Tak can't ignore Yiging since they are both from the 7 great clans. Jung told Hwisam that just thinking about having to act nice to Yiging makes his body itch. Hwisam laughed nervously. He told Jung that he knows Yiging is neglected in the family, but he wondered if it's okay for Jung to be provoking Yiging in the open like this. Jung scoffed. He told Hwisam that Tak has their back, so they have nothing to be afraid of. Plus Tak told them previously that if they do a good job in provoking Yigeng, then he would get them into the Miram alliance. There is no success without some risk, and Jung thought this is a chance he will never come across again. He smiled menacingly, then he stood up from his chair saying they should get started. Jung approached Yigeng and he asked him to pour him a drink. He told Yigeng that he heard the place he was staying at was ambushed, and a lot of people died. And since Yigeng must feel terrible about it, he should pour him a drink. Tak stood up and he threw the wine in Jung's face. He told Jung that he was crossing the line. Jung and H. Wissam were confused by Tak's reaction because they believed he had their backs. One of Jung's friends approached saying he was hanging around Jung because Tak seemed to tolerate his sect. But now he sees that Jung is no better than garbage. He took out a weapon demanding that Jung fight him. Jung was still in a state of confusion, and he questioned why things were turning out like this. Tak told Jung that since there are important figures here, Jung should make the duel with his friend a proper one. Jung questioned if Tak always planned to use him as a scapegoat. He grabbed his weapon determined to win the duel. Yigeng got irritated and he said even some insects that are worth nothing are ignoring him. In the blink of an eye he moved behind Jung. Jung was completely shocked and he wondered when Yigeng got behind him. Yigeng kicked the back of Jung's knee, causing him to fall down. Yigeng started approaching Jung and he shoved his cup in his mouth. He asked Jung if he wanted a drink, but before Jung could respond, Yigeng started pouring the wine. The wine got in Jung's eyes and he called out in pain. He told Yigeng that he could explain everything. However, Yigeng ignored him and he continued to pour out the wine. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video then hit the like button.